What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at DataDash, and today is September 17th of 2019. Well, folks, I hope you are having a fantastic day wherever you are. And in today's video, we've got a wide range of topics to focus on. Predominantly, we'll focus in on cryptocurrency market action, taking a look at the Bitcoin wedge, taking a look at the rise in Ethereum, and also talking about a potential shift that we could see in market dominance, taking a look at previous resistance. Outside of that as well, for traditional markets, the big headline is that the Fed is going to be hosting an FOMC meeting likely today or tomorrow, more likely tomorrow, and this is going to be a decision point for the Fed, whether they're going to cut interest rates or keep them the same. So we've got a lot of things to discuss, but outside of that as well, we've also got a sponsored review of Paxful, a peer-to-peer cryptocurrency exchange, one of my favorites in the crypto space. So I recommend you guys stick around for that. It's going to be interesting. So let's go ahead and take a look at overall market valuations. We can see here that most cryptocurrencies are still in a no trend scenario, but even in a no trend scenario environment, we do have some altcoins making some steady gains on the upside end, especially DeFi projects like Kyber Network, lending platforms like Nexo, and where a lot of this is built on top of Ethereum, as well as Litecoin doing quite well as well, tailoring behind Ethereum. But again, the losers in the market right now are a lot more smaller cap plays, and they're not rising, or excuse me, they're not declining as fast as the leaders in the market are rising in this case. Hope that makes sense. Now, again, a few players up here I don't really trust, like ABB, Coin, stuff like that. But again, you have some of these players up here that are much larger players. You've got Tron as well, whether you like it or not, one of the larger players on the market. Again, gaining quite steadily as Bitcoin is pushing sideways at the moment, if not slightly declining. Now, if we take a look at overall market valuation, again, we've really been flat here, guys, over the last few weeks and really over the month of September. I know it's been a pretty boring time period. It's like that when you have these corrective/consolidation periods in crypto markets. We are not in the full-scale bull run just yet until we get above 20,000. And once we get back above 20K, it will take some time as well for Bitcoin to, again, start the momentum up and continue higher. But that's what we're expecting in, mid to late 2020 into 2021, right? We've got to be patient on this, guys. So what's the key thing we can look for in the short term, right? What are some confidence signs? Well, a good confidence sign that I'm getting is the overall rise in altcoin market cap. And to be fair, most of this is in Ethereum. And that's going to be a key point I'll build on, as well as a critique for the overall altcoin markets that we need to keep in mind. But keeping up into the idea that Bitcoin isn't just going to go to 100% market dominance, keeping open to the concept that we actually might see an altcoin run up quite soon. If we take a look here at overall market dominance, Bitcoin has dropped around 2%, a little bit actually more than 2%, around 2.2% market dominance over the last few weeks since its recent peak. And it looks, to be fair, guys, just cutting out any kind of personal bias, as a trader who might use dominance as an indicator, right? As we were setting higher highs and lower lows, but at a slower momentum over time, right? It really picked up back here in June and started to stagnate up here. Now we're looking like we're setting lower highs, right? We're setting lower lows. And what I'm looking for here is, again, that severe drop below a previous significant low. And I think the one that I'd be looking for here is at 67.5%. So if we go to around, say, 67%, that would get me very eager in the idea, very eager towards the idea that we might be seeing a trend shift. And we'll take a look at that as we take a look at the chart. But again, I want to talk about Bitcoin first, and we'll really lead into that topic. But again, I recommend you stick around for that, because that'll be a really important topic to discuss, and I'll back it up a little bit with some more claims. Okay. So taking a look here at the wedge, again, some people see a descending triangle, whatever it may be. Overall, we're still pushing within the resistance and support lines, right? It doesn't matter how you draw them, we're still within that chart. So we have to be patient here, guys. We have to be vigilant. Volume, again, the expectations for a volume breakout are tightening, right? We are seeing declining volume here. No one's trading right now in this market. They're waiting for a decisive buyer or seller, or set of buyers or sellers, to come in and really pick up direction in the market, right? No reason to trade, right? The smart trader doesn't trade until a trend comes in, right? It's not worth trying to bet in these little small channels and stuff, right? Most of the good trades that happened within this potential wedge happened back here, right? And we bought at a lot of these dips. We bought at 10,180, and I think I bought around like a few times around the mid to low 9,000 range. Now, Again, what we're looking for here is, again, a curvature on the MACD here. We've already got the cross, but for it to maintain the blue line over the orange line and start to, again, get a spread or divergence between the two moving averages. And again, we're waiting for it to close on one side or the other in the sense of the chart, right? There's a possibility it could decline here, guys. But again, we're waiting for it to pick up direction. Now, I think the most significant thing to take into mind, and I know I've gone back and forth as we've gone through this wedge, because things can change like that, guys. We have to factor in both views, and I think any successful trader always is their biggest critique. It would probably be their biggest critic, right? And the thing that's really gotten me excited for a potential bullish breakout, a continuation of the rally, is what's been going on in Ethereum. Right? We'll take a look at Ethereum BTC. I really want to focus on the USD chart, but boy, I mean, we have seen a really nice bounce up here over the last week or so, while Bitcoin has been relatively stagnant. And to be fair, the general altcoin market has been relatively stagnant for the most part. We're right back to where we were in early August. So really nice leap up here for Ethereum, right? Very significant compared to some of the rallies that we've seen in the past year. You know, in the sense that it's not this huge jolt of short-term price action that looks like it could easily fade away. It seems like we might be getting a healthy bottom in the market with a slow rise here that could lead to a more momentous rise here for Ethereum, right? Again, not that significant in the sense of the range, but the fact that it's slow and steady here, that buyers are continuously coming in at a healthy rate. I'd much rather see this. I don't want to see it coming in a period of 3 days, right? I want to see it slowly but surely coming in here to signify that, you know, there's not any sell side action really weighing down the market anymore, and that Ethereum and other altcoins might be the preferred play, as Bitcoin dominance has been quite overextended. And that's my key point here that we'll talk about, right? Again, let's take a look at the ETH USD chart, but I'll reinstate that point here, right? ETH USD did exactly what I was hoping it would do. Had a 50% correction from the rough highs around 330, came down to 165, and came down around towards this line of support, as well as two significant support ranges, right? So did exactly that. But on this point of Bitcoin dominance, I'm going to pull this up here. You can pull up Bitcoin dominance here on the actual trading view chart. Bitcoin dominance, a lot of people don't know, went from around 35% all the way up to a little bit above 70%, more than doubled during this period of time since the peak of the altcoin cycle back in 2018. So this is a very significant point in time where we have to ask whether or not this trend can continue. And there's a lot of things that have me concerned that it likely can't. And they're not really so much concerned. Just if I were, you know, for example, holding Bitcoin here, I would be open to the idea that there could be a potential shift, that there could be more risk taking, that liquidity could flow out into other plays. And the reason I say that is that there's a lot of technical indicators that point to this, right? We have, for example, reached into what I call an overextended zone, but you could really see this if you think that's more of a biased view saying that's overextended. I would say that this is a previous point of resistance, right? Resistance was hit here 2 times, as well as over here, a little bit higher, but that's why we have this throughout a box here, right? This range between around 68 to 72%. And so far, we haven't been able to get a weekly close above this box, right? Again, we've only been here for a short period of time, only for a few weeks, but again, it looks as if right now that we might have a potential shift, or that we might bounce around in here before we make any significant moves to the upside for Bitcoin dominance, right? And I think during this time period, right, we filtered through a lot of the crap in the market. I'm not speaking to the fact that I think there's going to be a lot of different altcoins that are going to suffice on this market. I think it's going to be a very select few players. And really, as I mentioned, to be critical of altcoins, Ethereum has really been taking the dominance here. You can see that actually. If you take a look here at the chart here on CoinMarketCap, right? Ethereum went from about 7% market dominance to 8% dominance, gained a percentage point. A lot of that loss in Bitcoin, the 2%, has gone into Ethereum, right? So that's the thing to keep in mind here. Now, I had this drawn here. This is a ghost candle pattern and stuff, or basically where I took it from the break here on Bitcoin's decline, right? It can happen very quick when we enter into an altcoin cycle. And it'd be good to at least see it come down to this line of support. I'm not even saying that it could be this major breakout just yet in altcoins, right? Maybe we don't get as dramatic of a sell-off right away. But even just seeing it come down to here would be rational, right? Coming down to this line of support back here. We've been extended away from it for some time. And it might be really healthy to see that, right? To see some liquidity circulate. Another thing to mention as well is that the weekly MACD looks like it's about ready to cross here. And when we have that cross on the weekly MACD, usually means that we're going to get a shift, right? Again, people always look at the daily time frame. The real information is on those weekly and monthly charts, right? And I think the weekly plays a pretty big role here in the sense of the MACD and most indicators. So again, we'll have to see. I'm not going to be too urgent in predicting what's going to happen. But I'll tell you all, when I take a look at this daily chart here, and if we see a break below 70 here, this is going to get really interesting. It's going to get really, really interesting because that's enough here to where we're setting lower lows, right? Lower significant lows here. And again, it seems like the highs are getting lower as well. So that's what I'll be watching for. Again, don't have a set date for it. Again, just watching for those certain scenarios to happen. A lower low here for the sense of Bitcoin dominance. And that could be where altcoins, predominantly some of the larger players, Ethereum, some of our picks for the year, I think, such as BAT, Raven, Link, a lot of those different plays could do really well. But again, you guys might have your altcoins that you guys are really excited about. And as always, I'd love to hear down in the comments down below what you guys are interested in. Anyways, in the sense of traditional markets, we'll run through this pretty quick. Right now, U.S. markets are relatively a little bit down, about 0.25% this morning between the indices. And the real markets that are hurting right now are Indian markets, as well as other players in Asia, from China to Hong Kong, as well as other countries like Singapore down here, and a few other European markets, as well as Japan. Right, most global markets right now are in the red, around 1 to 2 to 2.5%. And I think this is coming with a little bit of fear around the Fed decision coming up, as well as still unknown certainty in the trade war. But honestly, markets bounce around for different reasons. I don't want to try to predict why today it's going down a percent, but if I had to put something, into my mind, it would probably be what's going on with the Fed decision. Now, a lot of people originally, and still to this day, are predicting that the Fed is going to cut rates. In fact, the betting systems under the CME, where people actually kind of express their opinions, they make bets on whether or not the Fed is going to cut rates, keep rates the same, rise rates, right? It's a way of kind of getting a pretty good institutional view of probability, and it's open to the public, which is really nice. 65.8% of people at the moment, people who have contributed to this, believe that the Fed is going to cut rates, right? And I have no doubt it's a very big possibility. I believe, though, however, it's more of a 50-50 chance. And I would stand on the other end that the Fed actually might not cut rates. I know, this is quite contrarian to the, what are you talking about, Nick? You always talk about how the Fed will do anything to keep the expansion going. And that's true. I think the Fed, if, for example, after this month, let's say they decide not to cut rates and keep rates the same and continue the balance sheet reduction, if stocks start plummeting, they'll probably consider cutting rates another 25 basis points, another quarter of a percentage point. But the reason I feel they're not going to, and why we've seen a drop in the confidence of the Fed cutting rates in this next FOMC meeting, is because if the Fed doesn't stick, its feet in the ground and say, hey, look, European central banks, Bank of Japan, basically the ECB and Bank of Japan, if you don't start raising rates back to positive territory so that people can actually earn a yield on your bonds, then we're not going to play in that game. We're going to make sure that we put our foot in the sand and stop the negative yielding bond crisis that's building up. It's already going to be very disastrous, and I think the Federal Reserve, as well as European and Asian central banks, understand it. I think they all know what's going on, and they know that it won't last forever. And that means that a lot of portfolio value of these negative yielding bonds are going to disappear overnight. Whenever the cards are right, whenever there is enough incentive to start dumping these things, when traders get tired of riding the Ponzi-like market that it is now, these central banks knowingly have propped up the negative yielding bond crisis. What is going to probably be, by sometime in the late fall, a $20 trillion bubble. We're already at around 17 trillion. And I think that's, again, as I talked about, I know someone left a comment like, yeah, Nick, the Fed having any decency. But if the Fed had any logic to it, it would not play a part of this game, right? The United States has the strength right now to, though we may see a weakening in equity markets, for the U.S. to do okay at these interest rates, right? We might have a recession, we might have a pullback. It's not the end of the world. We should not feed in and become a part of this negative yielding bond crisis. I really believe we shouldn't. And right, equity markets already look like they're ready for a correction of some sort. We've had these in the past. The NASDAQ, for example, not even visiting back up to the previous highs here, topping out at a similar resistance range to what we saw in the past, all the way back here in August of 2018 and April of 2019. S&P 500, same thing, topping up around a previous high here. We'll see if it can break past it. And the Dow Jones, similar thing as well, back towards its previous all-time highs. So, you make of it you will make of it what you will. But I'll tell you this, guys, as I take a look at the Russell 2000, the small caps have gotten no love. The risk-taking has been non-existent. So I think people now are looking towards hedging assets. Even though equity markets might still go up, I'm not dabbling in them personally. Now, another thing to take into mind, JP Morgan has added Deutsche Bank to its crypto payments network. Another thing that Deutsche Bank can break. Good job. No, let Deutsche Bank join. I'm completely on board with this. I'm just kidding. But for those of you who may not know, they're creating something known as the Interbank Information Network. I'm terrible about acronyms, so I'm sorry I have to read it here off the article. But this is based on the Ethereum blockchain, and this is going to be a settlement system between commercial banks. So again, possibly a competing system or a new alternative system to SWIFT or other traditional banking networks. Interesting read. I recommend you guys look into it. Last thing as well to consider for equity markets, again, we're stepping into the buyback blackout period. So keep an eye on that as we go throughout the later part of September and into early October. This is when it's going to really start hitting. And this, combined with that potential lack of a rate cut, might lead equities to revisit back down to some of their key support lines. So anyways, hope you all are doing well wherever you are. But until the next video, let's go ahead and dive into our sponsored review of Paxful. Alrighty, everyone, so let's go ahead and spend some time to take a look at today's sponsor, and it is no other than Paxful. Now, many of you out there have possibly heard me mention Paxful in the past here on the Data Dash channel, but for those of you who are hearing about them for the first time, to put it simple, Paxful is a peer-to-peer cryptocurrency exchange. It really gets down to the root of what crypto is all about, and it does that in a lot of different ways. If we take a look at most traditional, companies or exchanges in the cryptocurrency space, most are heavily centralized. They usually have full custody of your funds. And the big issue is that they don't really build their products or services in a way that can be open to those across the world who really need cryptocurrencies, or those who may want extra privacy when they're doing cryptocurrency transactions. Well, Paxful really services these clients. They not only provide a clean user experience and allow you to generate a wallet through the Paxful account that you generate, but outside of that as well, it opens access to cryptocurrency exchanging for people across the world. And through the variety of payment methods that it provides in order to acquire Bitcoin, again, it not only democratizes financial services and cryptocurrencies to a lot of people, the 2 billion people who are unbanked, but along with that, it can give you added privacy in the sense of doing these exchanges. So we're going to be talking about all of this as we go throughout the platform. The first thing to note here, of course, as you all know, if you're active viewers of the channel, I like a clean user experience, and Paxful has got a pretty clean experience, I'd say, especially for a peer-to-peer exchange and all the different payment methods that it provides in order to acquire cryptocurrencies. It keeps it very clean and minimalistic. Now, they just recently had an overhaul on the design, and it looks really nice here. But this is what Paxful is all about here as we're taking a look here in this window. And it basically is entryways to buying Bitcoin or selling Bitcoin into fiat currencies predominantly. Now, they have a few other services as well and some altcoins that you can look towards as well. But I really want to focus here on the main onboarding here, right? So the first thing here is that they cover your major things you're used to, right? Bank transfers, PayPal, but they also have a variety of other ways to enter. In fact, if I remember the number correctly, it's around like 200 or plus more ways that you can actually acquire cryptocurrency or exchange peer-to-peer. And the way that you do this is that you specify your payment method. And we'll take a look at actually doing a transaction in just a bit to get a feel for it. But when you actually go to Paxful, you're going to have to register an account. It's very simple. You just have to input a username, email, and password. Just like that, you've already got an account. And Paxful gives you a wallet where you can actually start depositing Bitcoin. And they also give you action items to actually go through and start acquiring certain amounts of Bitcoin. All right, so we've taken a look at the wallet here. You can also take a look at the classic dashboard, and this is going to be kind of a hub to get access to pretty much anything you want, right? You can buy Bitcoin here, which will take us to the market window, which we'll take a look at in just a minute. You can send and receive, and I highly recommend as well you activate a two-factor authentication as well. But there are a lot of different ways you can interact with Paxful, right? You can do bank transfers, right? You can go from current online wallets in this case, like PayPal and Skrill. You can use gift cards. This is where I think the privacy really comes in, because if you want to get access to a certain amount of Bitcoin, you know, the amount that you'd usually use to buy a gift card, you can actually pick up a gift card from major retailers and exchange either the gift card or the receipt in this case. So basically it's kind of a digital cash transfer in a sense, if you will, and you can exchange that for Bitcoin in that case. So it adds privacy in the sense that there's not much traceability, right? Someone's sending Bitcoin from one Bitcoin address to another, you're exchanging a gift card, both parties are happy, right? You can also do debit and credit cards. You can do cash as well. They have things like Western Union and MoneyGram. And then also peer-to-peer exchanges with some of the major digital currencies from Ethereum to Litecoin, as well as Bitcoin Cash, Stellar Lumens, and Ripple. So they really cover a pretty wide range of the things that you'd want out of a peer-to-peer exchange. Probably one of the most functional peer-to-peer exchanges that I've seen on the market at the moment. And again, all through a pretty clean user experience. But let's go ahead here and pretend like we're buying some Bitcoin here. What would it be like here on Paxful comparative to what we're probably used to on traditional centralized exchanges? Well, in a peer-to-peer exchange, you're looking for other parties who have offers on the open market to match with what you're comfortable with. What am I willing to pay for in the sense of a Bitcoin if I'm buying? And then also, what payment method do I want to have to use in this case, right? There's over 200 different types of methods here on Paxful, so we've got a decent amount of variety. But let's go ahead. Let's say, for example, I wanted to buy Bitcoin. And, you know, I'm like most users in this case, I want to use PayPal, right? I might want to buy it through PayPal. It's going to generate a search query here to see the best orders on the market. And we can see here, this one right here from a person called Game We Play. So we can see here that I've got a range here around $10 to $100 where I can buy Bitcoin at the current market rate of $11,665, right? So a little bit above the current market rate here compared to what we'd be paying for on a spot exchange. Nice thing about it though is I can buy through my preferred payment method, right? This is everything included in this case in the transaction, and I just simply click on the buy button, right? It's very, very simple. And again, if you don't need it through PayPal, if you're flexible in this case and you can use different payment methods, right? You can probably get better rates on the market. This is just one example. But the nice thing about it is that with the added privacy and the added flexibility of payment methods, sometimes paying that premium is not a bad deal. If you've got a gift card, for example, that you don't want to use, if you're like me, I've gotten gifted a lot of gift cards from friends and family, and I'm just not a big spender. I like to invest, and I wish they would have just bought me Bitcoin in the first place. Well, you can go ahead and select one of many gift cards, right? So let's say we've got a Steem wallet gift card, right? Now Steem I might use, but in this case here, for example, all right, to be able to take a Steem gift card that I have and be able to exchange it for Bitcoin, right? And even though, again, the rate is going to vary sometimes here, guys, again, it's going to get you the best rate that's available on the market. And it's better than having a gift card just sitting there, right, if you don't want to use it. So it allows you to get some access to crypto. And again, the nice thing here, speaking on a fundamental sense and kind of stepping out of just, you know, the benefits for, I guess, us as, you know, more of a Western audience, maybe here in the United States, this is really great for people in developing economies. It opens up the access to being able to buy crypto to so many people who don't own a bank account. And that's so important here. And I think it's awesome that Paxful has been working really and focusing in on developing economies across the world. And it speaks through different types of activities that the company has done. So we can see here, for example, on Bitcoin.com, they did an article talking about their Built with Bitcoin program, where they've set out on a goal to build up around 200 different facilities, such as schools and medical facilities, things of that sort, for people utilizing basically funds from the platform in this case. So they've actually gone through and built a variety of schools in developing regions in Rwanda. So this is really cool. I recommend you guys read through the article here, learn a little bit about the story and how Paxful is actually leaving an impact here. But it's not just proving that Bitcoin is helping to build up and develop economies and provide financial services. It's actually going to schools and doing a campus tour to actually talk about the benefits of cryptocurrencies, how it can serve as a hedge against traditional fiat currencies, how it can provide financial freedom for those who may be unbanked or need to send certain types of payments, right? So again, I'll leave this link down below. It's really good to see a company like Paxful doing the things that it is, and it fits very well with what Paxful's doing personally as a company. Because in the West, again, a lot of people may not need cryptocurrencies. Many people speculate, whereas in a lot of developing economies, this is where crypto really stands out. Now, one thing to note as well is if you guys would like to benefit from helping to expand out Paxful's peer-to-peer exchange service, you guys can register for the affiliate program. I'll leave a link down below towards some of the details as to how you can join the affiliate program. It's pretty simple. It's generated with your account here. You basically have your unique URL, and you can basically share it with those who might register accounts, or they can use the QR code. One other important thing to note as well is that Paxful does have a mobile wallet for iOS, and I recommend if you guys are going to set up an account for Paxful that you definitely consider testing out the mobile wallet. It's got about a 4.6 star rating on average with over 1.1 thousand reviews, and just simply from the glance here, you guys can see in the sense of the user experience from the iPhone screenshots, it's extremely clean, right? It does all the functions you need, has your previous transactions and ability to buy and sell Bitcoin, and then also to send off crypto to other peer-to-peer addresses. And the nice thing about this too is I'm glad Paxful has such a clean mobile experience. It seems like they've almost taken a mobile first approach here, because I think this really speaks again to the audience who needs these services. It speaks to people who again are going to be operating on a mobile device to be exchanging or accepting Bitcoin of some sort. And I'm really happy to see that they've focused and done a good job on this. So again, in summary here, Paxful keeps it very simple, guys. And it's amazing to see an exchange with so many entry points to being able to buy crypto, not to mention the added privacy, which is always nice, keeping it in such a clean user experience. But I'd like to know what you all think down below in the comments. What do you think about Paxful? Would you use a peer-to-peer exchange like Paxful versus a more centralized exchange? And again, if you have any questions, definitely check out the links down below in the description, or leave a comment down below, and I bet the Paxful team or myself will try to step in and answer any questions that we possibly can. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Thanks to Paxful for sponsoring this video, and until the next one, guys, I'll see you all in the next video. Stay tuned.